Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as it goes from bad to worse. At what point is the question going to be asked, enough is enough? Surely now, enough is enough. Another 200 jobs announced gone today. A big list of stuff to get into on the show tonight. Going through Omar Barada's statement will be a very, very, very annoying and sad affair, I'm afraid. But, I mean, the one thing I've got to say at the very start of this is who in their right mind justifies this? 450 people have lost their job in the last 6 months. And they are now being held up as martyrs for us to be able to buy players in the summer. 450 people have lost their job. You could sack Luke Shaw, a total waste of space, and cover off all their wages. It's just baffling. I don't understand who sits there and puts up with this. I don't understand who sits there and justifies this. It's absolutely incredible to me. And I've seen people on social media go, well, if it helps us buy a striker, I'm all for it. You cretins. You're talking about 450 human beings who are losing their job, who probably have mortgages, kids, energy, everything to pay for, but you'll get your striker. I'm sorry, I love football, I love Manchester United, but when it comes on the radio that a local car plant has had to sack 400 people because it's been taken to another country, it's big news. And everybody goes, oh, it's the government's fault, they're not investing in that industry. We are literally sacking human beings. And people are going, well, I agree with it if it helps us get a striker. I think that'd be bad enough anyway if it wasn't for the fact that we've got players that do sod all who would cover off those wages, get rid of them, and also, of course, the debt. So lots to get into on the show tonight. I mean, you will not believe Omar Barada's statement. I mean, I think his status as a CEO of Manchester United has gone from exciting to vile. I don't like you. I'm sorry, I don't like you. I don't like what you stand for. You are just a Glazer puppet spewing shit, in my opinion. That statement he's put out today, I'm sorry. I don't care what you did at Man City. If you're willing to put that out to your name, you can pay the bloody consequences for it. I thought it was absolutely disgraceful. So I'm sorry, Omar Barada. You're just a Glazer. You're just a Glazer servant and an INEOS servant. I'm sorry, I absolutely hate your statement and I'm going to rip it apart in a few minutes' time. Very interesting show it's going to be tonight. Send him back to shitty, said someone in the chat. INEOS are a disgrace. Look, seriously, I feel like Princess Leia saying to Obi-Wan Kenobi, help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi, your only hope. Gary fucking Neville. Power to the people, you know, makes out his vote, his Labour, and, you know, he's all about working people. Fucking hell, mate. Forget your regeneration project. 450 people have lost their job. Come on. If this was the Tories taking jobs 2 years ago, you wouldn't shut up about it on Twitter. Come on. If you are about the working person in Manchester, come on. Now is the time, Gary. Redeem yourself. Do what you used to do on Twitter. Come on, as a legend of the club, stop messing about. This is a disgrace. Come on, seriously. I'm not even taking a piss. Come on. You know it's wrong. You know it's wrong. Come on. If this was Mike Ashley making these redundancies at Sports Direct, people would go mad, says MT90. And so we're sacking 450 regular people to sign a striker in the summer. What madness are we going to do to raise funds for next summer, says Emily Derry. I tell you what, we've got this Boohoo Man thing. I'm taking it down. I'm not doing a bloody sponsor tonight. Sod that. It doesn't feel right. I know it's nothing to do with the United Stand, and I know it's not. I don't feel like doing a sponsor show tonight. You know, judge me if you want, but I'm not doing it. It just doesn't feel good to me tonight to be talking about that when people are losing their jobs. I don't want to do the trivia. I don't want to do it. And it's got nothing to do with our community. It's got nothing to do with the United Stand. But I want to read Omar Barada's statement because I tell you what, there's one bit in this that absolutely riled me and probably riled a few people, but we do need to read all of it. But let me just read you this bit. At the end of this process of sacking people, we will have a more lean, agile and financially sustainable football club, while continuing to provide a world-class service to our valuable commercial partners. You'll never sing that. You'll never sing that. While continuing to provide a world-class service to our valuable commercial partners, you'll never sing that. I mean, for God's sake. Is that what kids are dreaming of now when they go to bed, when they think about football? Hey, we might be sacking people, we might be absolutely shit, but at least we're going to continue to provide a world-class service to our valuable commercial partners. I mean, Jesus Christ. What has happened to Manchester United Football Club? This football club, at its very core, is so many things to so many different people, but not that long ago, it was a working class football club in a working class sport. People are still alive now that remember that. Football in the 80s was very much a working class sport. The Premier League changed all that. It diversified it. It made it family friendly. Well done. But in my lifetime, football was a world class sport. I ain't 50, so not far off. But you know what I mean? What has this football club become? And I tell you what, when are we actually going to do something about this? Because look, there's so much to get into. The scary thing is, for them, and the opportunity for fans, if we can somehow come together, is they are actually not feeding people in the canteen anymore, apart from the players. The players are still getting, their steak or whatever like that. The working people, they just get soup and bread now. I mean, have you ever heard something as scary as that? They're so desperate to raise money, they're closing the canteen down and they're only feeding the players. I mean, this is the opposite of Robin Hood. This is not robbing from the rich to feed the poor. This is robbing the poor to feed the rich. I mean, we are absolutely disgusting. We are disgusting. I despise what Man United are becoming. Because this is not Manchester United, the club I love. We are disgusting what we're doing. In the name of every Manchester United fan, they're sacking people and not feeding them. I can't speak. It's absolutely disgusting. But you know what? You know what? If there is an opportunity there, if they're so desperate to raise money, and apparently they're going to take money from the Man United Foundation as well, which is a charity. If they're so desperate to save money that they're cutting food from the canteen, which I'm told will raise them a few thousand every month. Imagine how much money they'd lose if the megastore couldn't get customers in on a match day. Imagine how much money they'd lose if a game got cancelled again. Hey, I'm not saying that's the way to go. The United Stand's not going to push anything like that because we will support things. I think that has to come from other organisations, of course. But I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're the 58, the Red Army, Manchester United Supporters Trust, or any other fan group, they are absolutely desperate to save money. And if they're desperate, they're vulnerable. And if they're vulnerable, there is an opportunity here to make them actually take notice of fans. Because I'm telling you now, if that Liverpool-Man United game got cancelled at the weekend, obviously we're not playing Liverpool, I'm talking about the one a couple of years ago, they'd royally shit themselves if something like that happened, because that would cost them money. And that is clearly what this is all about. So, look, protests, fantastic. I actually think it's now or never. Like, are you going to keep letting them do what they're doing to this football club? I think it's a disgrace. I think it's an absolute disgrace. But let me just read this statement from Omar Barada, because I couldn't actually believe he actually was happy to have this statement go out in his name. He said, "We've got a responsibility to put Manchester United in the strongest position to win across our men's, women's and academy team. We are initiating a wide-range series of measures which will transform and renew the club. Unfortunately, this means announcing further redundancies, and we deeply regret the impact on those affected colleagues." Well, you don't deeply regret it at all. You don't deeply regret it because you've done it again, and it's not the first time you've done it. You've sacked 450 people in 6 months. However, these hard choices are necessary to put the club back on a stable financial footing. Well, they're necessary to you, but they're not the only choice. He goes on to say, "We have lost money for the past 5 years. This cannot continue." Omar, mate, let me just sit you down. The club has lost money for the last 5 years because it is massively in debt and has to pay interest on that debt. You can sack everybody and it won't cover what we have to pay in debt interest. Sack everybody and we won't cover it. So I am not having this, and I don't think anybody with a brain is having this. You can't put a statement out, mate, saying we need to sack 200 people because we're losing money, when the club is losing money because it's in debt because of the knobhead owners you and your mate Sir Jim rescued. We would not be losing money if we weren't paying debt interest, which is a bit like taking £30 million and throwing it onto a bonfire, because debt interest doesn't even reduce the debt, it's just interest. So to hold these sackings up as required so the club can survive is an insult to all those people you are putting into poverty potentially because of the Glazers. Manchester people losing their jobs. That's the headline. Let's put the Manchester back into Manchester United, said Sir Jim. Yeah, well done all the morons who fell for that shit. I tell you what, by the day, all those people who were calling out, let's vote Sir Jim, let's vote for Sir Jim, you lot should be angrier than anybody else because you've been mugged off. Absolutely mugged off. He says our two main priorities as a club are delivering success on the pitch for our fans and improving our facilities. We cannot invest in these objectives if we are continually losing money. Absolutely correct. But you're sacking people. Can I just do some quick maths with you here? Sacking another 200 people, and let's be honest, they're not going to be on 100 grand a week. They're not going to be on 100 grand a year. They're going to be 40 grand a year max, I would say. So another 200 people on 40 grand a year saves the club 8 million a year. Yeah. Well done, Omar. You've just solved the problem. £8 million a year. That's gonna... We're back! Bloody hell. Book a holiday. We're back. Tell you what, where's the Champions League final next year? We're fucking going. Live show. Yeah. We're back, everybody. £8 million. We've just fucked over another 200 people, human beings from Manchester. Yeah, well done. £8 million a year. Won't even touch the sides. Won't even touch the sides, will it? And that is that's what our CEO is telling the world. We're losing massive amounts of money, so we need to sack 200 people to save £8 million a year. And actually, you know what? It won't even be £8 million a year, because what people don't realise is when you get made redundant, you tend to get a few months' wages as well. So we'll still be paying those people this year. At the end of this process, we will have a more lean, agile and financially sustainable football club while continuing to provide a world-class service. Actually, can I just read this paragraph for you? Because I think, you know, when you go to bed at night and you're thinking about Manchester United and how we get back to being successful, don't worry about it, because this is the stuff you should be thinking about. This should put a smile on your face. This is what every... this is the sort of stuff I was dreaming about as a kid. Forget the treble. You know, forget Ronaldo and Giggs and all these great players scoring great goals and having great games and winning trophies. I've got to be honest, what Omar said today, Youngbridge, he was ecstatic. This is the sort of stuff I was always, as a fan, this is always the stuff I wanted. We'll have a more lean, agile and financially sustainable football club, get in, while continuing to provide a world-class service to our valuable commercial partners. Get the fuck in. Get in. Have that. Forget your title. Forget 20 titles for Liverpool. Have you got that? Will you, Liverpool, be providing a world-class service to our valuable commercial partners? Well, I'll tell you what, Omar, I couldn't give a fucking shit about what service we provide to our valuable commercial partners, because guess what? I couldn't give a fucking shit about our commercial partners. All I care about is the fans of this football club and what you're doing to it. We will then be in a much stronger position to invest in football success and improve facilities for fans, while remaining compliant with UEFA and Premier League regulations. I'll tell you what that whole last paragraph from Barada says to me. We're fucked. We're trying to survive. And whilst we're trying to survive, partners that pay us money, commercial partners, can rest assured we're still going to provide a service to you. There's nothing in that There's nothing in there about the fans. There's nothing in there about the fans. He doesn't even mention that. He mentions improved facilities for the fans, but like, really, it's about providing a service to our valuable commercial partners, because that's all we've become, isn't it? We've just become a money-making machine. And I'll tell you what as well, I want to get into some of your comments, but I wanted to read you what Manchester United's core values are. These are Manchester United's core values. Excellence, striving for perfection and never settling for ordinary. Community engagement, engaging with the communities in which the club plays. Youth development, supporting young people to achieve their goals. Respect, treating supporters with respect and creating a safe, friendly atmosphere. Diversity inclusion, valuing diversity and inclusion in the club's workforce and community. Innovation, using technology and innovation to improve the club's performance. Global brand, committing to building a global brand. They're not hitting half of those. Community engagement, no, absolutely not. Respect, absolutely not. Absolutely disgusting. Disgusting. And as well, you know what? There's a couple of things I want to talk about in relation to football success here, because I don't know how many people have actually worked in business. But cuts don't always work. So all these people that are losing their job, the canteen that's being shut down, cuts don't always work. A lot of the time they don't work. So all this we're doing doesn't always work. What can go wrong with cuts? Man United have sacked 450 people in 6 months. Our workforce was about 1,100. So you're telling me that Man United needed to cut their workforce by nearly 40%. Has anybody actually considered that cutting your workforce by 40% is incredible? I just don't think there's a business out there that needs to cut their workforce by 40%. 20% maybe. 40% is massive. It's ridiculous. It's almost half. So this isn't efficiency. This is cost cutting. Efficiency is, there's 3 of you doing a job, we reckon 2 of you could do a job, and we save one's wages. This to me is scary when you're sacking nearly 40% of your workforce. It's too much. The cuts are too deep. So what happens then? The people who go are obviously the worst affected because they lose their job. But the people who stay end up having to do a hell of a lot more than they were doing before, which then impacts on the service that you provide. For example, if Manchester United was a pub and the pub was busy and they had 10 people working in the pub behind the bar collecting glasses, and the owner looked at it and went, we're a bit heavy there, let's go down to 8. Those 8 people will be busy, but the service will continue in a busy pub. If you go down to 6 and those people become overworked and the service isn't being provided, that's really bad, because the 6 people become overworked and the consumer becomes pissed off with the service, and it doesn't work. So cuts don't always work. They don't always work. And also, what they save you very rarely stacks up to other things. So this cut to our workforce doesn't actually save that much money. As we said, let's say 10 million a year. Let's say it saves, let's be generous and say it saves 20 million pounds a year, which I don't think it will. Well, that doesn't even cover 50% of what we're paying on debt interest a year. And what about Casemiro sat on 20 million a year? And Luke Shaw sat on 10 million a year? And Mason Mount sat on 12 million a year? So all these costs that cuts were doing could have a massive impact on the way the club is run. And for not a lot of money. And also what it does, it absolutely decimates morale of the people who are left behind. Because they're not robots. It's their mates losing the job. They've got to do more. They don't know whether they're safe now. So I know for a fact it's had a devastating impact. The first round of people. But let's bring it back to the football though. I was looking at this. We've had 25 years of the Premier League. And I can't find a club that won a Premier League on cuts. I can't. The only one I can think of is Leicester. But look at Leicester now. I mean, Leicester caught a season where everybody else was shit. It wasn't sustainable. Do we really want to be Leicester? Do we want to just grab a Premier League and then piss off again? That's not what we want. We want sustained success. Every football club that's had sustained success has done it on money. Man United did it on money. In the late 80s, Sir Alex spent a lot of money and he kept spending money, and we were very, very dominant. Man City have done it on money. Chelsea did it on money. Blackburn did it on money. Arsenal spent money. Even Liverpool have spent money. So we've got owners now who, for some reason, think they are clever, and they think that cutting costs is going to make us successful. And yet, no football club in Premier League history has had sustainable success from cutting costs. It just hasn't happened. Look at Man City. Apparently Ederson's been fucked up in the summer and they're bringing in Costa from Porto as their goalkeeper. Speculate to accumulate. It's sport. It's not your local restaurant. And yeah, I'm so conflicted. I don't know how you feel. Let's get into some of your comments, but I should have said it at the start. I'm just so conflicted. I'm so conflicted because I did that video today about Amrim, and I want Amrim to do well. I want the team to do well. But I don't, you know what? I can't stand the football club. I can't stand the way it's being run. I love the football club. I love the name. I love what it means to me. But I can't stand this. I almost feel dirty as a Man United fan at the moment because I'm getting messages from mates. I'm getting all sorts of stuff from people saying the way your club's being run is disgusting. And I'm like, yeah, as much as I don't like Liverpool, it would never happen. And Liverpool have got a lot of reasons to be taking the piss out of us at the moment, but they can also sit there with a big smug face saying, not at our football club. No way. No way would this be happening at our football club. We wouldn't let it happen, and we have. And that's the collective we. I mean, I call it me. You know, I'm not throwing stones or pointing fingers. I feel ashamed of this football club. It's disgusting. I never ever thought this. And look, it happens a lot in the UK. You'll turn the radio on, 300 jobs have been gone today from a local this or whatever, and it's big news and you automatically think of those people losing their job and how bad that is. This is my football club doing it. This is my football club sacking ordinary people in the hundreds, and yet the best way for us to save money is for us to stop paying debt interest. It's absolutely disgusting. Dan Davies says Simon Jordan on Talk Shit today, agreeing. Yeah, well, Simon Jordan's a fucking rich chairman, footballer, isn't he? You know, swallows a dictionary every morning, and he's not a man of the people, is he? You know, maybe he's from a working class background. I don't know. I certainly am, and I know what it's like when people are out of work, and I know the impact it has on people's lives. And I know the world's changed a lot, but I don't like this. And that's why I said at the start about Gary Neville. And I mean, not just Gary Neville. Like, this is wrong. This is fundamentally wrong. I'm not against, look, sometimes you've got to sack people. Of course you have. And sometimes you've got to do it to make a business survive. I accept that. I've seen that happen. But if Man United didn't have debt and we were in financial trouble, you'd take a loan out. You wouldn't start cutting your workforce in half. The reason we're doing this is because of the debt. It's as simple as that. The debt overarches everything. Everything about our football club comes back to the debt. It does. The stadium. The reason the stadium's not been renovated and looked after for 20 years is because of the debt. The reason we are where we are on the pitch is because of the debt. The reason we're now having to do all this is because of the debt. Everything is because of the debt. Who put the debt on the football club? And there you go. It's stunning that these people are still here, and it's even more stunning that Sir Jim Ratcliffe bailed them out. And then it's even more surprising that Sir Jim Ratcliffe came into this football club, bailed the Glazers out, and has allowed himself to do... This is a big statement. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has done worse things for Manchester United in 1 year than the Glazers have done in the last 5. The Glazers have taken dividends. The debt was there. They have let the stadium rot, and they are absolutely detested in this fan base. But his first 12 months have been horrific. Absolutely horrific. You couldn't get it more wrong. I mean, he must like being disliked. I mean, there were people who warned about Sir Jim Ratcliffe and said he was ruthless, he's about business, but he sold it on local lad, Manchester back into Manchester, and it's disgusting. The Manchester local lad thing doesn't work because what he's actually come in and done is asset stripped that football club to the bare bones. Disgusting. There'll be a lot of players who aren't happy as well. 100%. People like Bruno Fernandes, Harry Maguire. There'll be a lot of players, Luke Shaw, be a lot of players who aren't happy with this. Because say what you like about their performances, but they are ingratiated into that club. Darren Fletcher will be another one. They'll be absolutely disgusted by this because I've been to Carrington. I know what it's like. It's a family. And people will not, you think what you like about footballers, and some of them can be bloody selfish, of course, but there is a community feel there. We're not talking about players' performance here. They'll be disgusted by this. They will be disgusted by this. There's not a great relationship with the Glazers anyway, and they won't be blind to this either. So again, it has a massive impact on morale. Of course it does. Let's get into some of your comments anyway. Sadly, I've got a few more bits I want to talk about as well, but I just think there's just so much in there that's really bad, really disgusting. And as I say, I find myself really conflicted because I want the team and I want Amrim to do well, but then there's part of me just thinking, who are they rescuing? Yeah, they're rescuing us, but they're rescuing these. I mean, I'm so conflicted. I want Man United to win, but I can't stand the people who run our football club anymore. I just want them gone. I want them gone. I want Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers out of that football club now. And I never thought I was going to be saying that. Even 2 months ago, I didn't think I'd be saying that. But I just want them gone. If you offered me relegation and they'd be gone, I would take it. I'd go down to League One. I'd take it right now. Absolutely. If they were gone and the debt was gone, I tell you what though, if they did go tomorrow and the debt went and we got a replacement in, they'd recruit 300 people back straight away. We've cut way too many jobs there. There's no way you can cut 450 jobs, and there's just no way. It makes no sense that Manchester United have been operating with double the workforce they needed. This is just cutting to a ridiculous level, and it's going to destroy morale. Absolutely destroy it. I mean, Ruben Amorim must be looking at it going, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what the fuck is going on here? Disgusting. And the message really is that we're sacking these people to help us buy players. Well, I'd rather you didn't buy players. Seriously, because I don't like that message. I don't like the message that you're sacking. I mean, it's just disgusting. You know, if I was one of those people that had been sacked, I'd be absolutely fuming. I'd be fuming with that statement from Omar Barada couldn't be more insensitive if it tried. It's like having a big open wound on your leg and then Omar Barada comes back along with a load of salt and just slowly rubs it in. To say we're sacking these people so we can sign players is massively offensive. For the reason you know, there will be people out there going, well, look, if I can get a striker out of it, I don't care. You can't use ordinary working people's sackings as a reason to buy players. It's so insensitive. It's not. It's cowardly. It's horrible. It's unfair. You can't say the club's lost money over the last 5 years, and if we want to buy players, we need to take these actions of sacking people. I mean, look, you can say what you bloody well like, but it's pure spin. You can't. That's not the only option, Omar. Like, you could get rid of some of the shit players that offer us absolutely nothing. You could well, the debt, again. I just think everything should come with an asterisk. You know, every statement that comes out from Man United, we need to sack these people, we need to stop paying these foundations, we need to raise the ticket prices, because if we don't raise ticket prices, we can't buy players. And there should be a little star next to it saying, this is bullshit. Man United are paying tens of millions of pounds per year on debt interest, which is wasted money. If they weren't paying that, it would be a lot more than they're going to raise from ticket prices. Shane B said, Neville said what must be 7 years ago, the club from top to bottom is rotten to the core. I wish he'd stick to that sentiment now. INEOS out, says Shane B. Look, Gary Neville can say what he bloody well likes. All I'm saying is Gary Neville has never shut his gob for the last decade about political issues, the working person and Manchester United. Here we are with nearly 500 people losing their jobs from Manchester United Football Club, and he's staying quiet. And I think we all can guess why he's staying quiet, but I just think somebody like that would be massive. And is it really that valuable to be involved in a regeneration project in Manchester? I mean, mate, you're loaded anyway. Surely it's more valuable to stand up for your morals and working people who are losing their jobs. But look, it's his choice to make. But what I'm saying is, his voice would be very powerful at the moment. Very powerful. But so would any others. Like, as I say, the flip side to the coin is that if they are cutting meals in a canteen to save a few £1,000s, imagine what they'll do if people stop buying merchandise. Imagine what they'll do if Man United brands start getting targeted in the sense that they get boycotted. Imagine what they'll do if games start getting called off. They'll lose more than tens of thousands of pounds. They will start to lose millions of pounds. And then it won't be long before this, we don't care about the fans, we'll just carry on doing it. They'll suddenly be knocking on the door of the fans going, what can we do? Come on, let's have a chat. Let's get round a table because, oh, you know what? Why aren't you buying the hoodie? You know, it's a lovely hoodie. Ruben's wearing it. Why aren't people buying the hoodie? And they will sit round a table with fans in the blink of an eye if you start costing them money. And that's not a call to arms to start, you know, committing crime. Any protest should be peaceful, and any boycott of a brand or a merchandise or anything like that should be peaceful as well. But there is an opportunity here. The club is clearly desperate to save a fiver. If it starts losing a tenner elsewhere, it's going to start looking at that. And that's the power. Look, this is not revolutionary. You are the voice. You are the power. You've just never come together before. This is why I say it would never happen at Liverpool. Liverpool wouldn't put up with the Glazers. They wouldn't put up with Anfield being knocked down. They wouldn't put up with, you know, 450 people losing their jobs in Liverpool. They wouldn't put up with it. I don't like saying that about our biggest rival, but they wouldn't put up with it. And they would show their power in stopping it. You're capable of doing that. We just don't, and we never have come together collectively on something that would actually work. You're not going to empty the stadium. I think that is a total waste of time. Emptying the stadium will be emptying mostly season ticket holders who've already paid for that seat. Not buying the hoodie, not buying the third kit, goalkeeper kit, not buying the new kit, all that sort of stuff makes a difference. But you know what? They're not stupid either. First thing they'll do when the new kit comes out is buy you Victor Osimhen, and then you'll all buy it and go, we're back. So this is why we will fail, because as a fan base, we're really easy to manipulate, and that's why the Glazers have lasted so long. Barada is on 4.2 million a year himself. It's shocking, says North Paul. Well, what about this, actually? Just before I get into some of your comments, what about this? So we've sacked 450 people, and they reckon it's going to save about 10 million a year after these latest redundancies. That 10 million a year, you know what I'm going to say? Debt interest. Yeah. You know what I'm going to say? People like Luke Shaw earn more than that and sit on their arse. Yeah. Okay. What about this? We sacked Eric Ten Hag. It cost us £10 million. We brought Ruben Amorim in. It cost us £10 million. We sacked Dan Ashworth. It cost us £5 million. That's £25 million this season on sacking and recruitment mistakes by INEOS. 25 million. You're going to save 10 million from these latest redundancies in a year. You've just spent 2.5 times that. And what have we got for it? We haven't even got a director of football anymore. And we've replaced a manager, you know? So there's another string to the bow as well. It's not just the debt interest. It's not just the players sat on their arse doing nothing that are a waste of time. It's also £25 million spent by INEOS in the last 6 months. And we've just sacked 450 people. Disgusting, isn't it? Whichever way you look at it, it's disgusting. And look, let me take that back to football for you. If Sir David Brailsford did his job, and it's very, very clear now that this project he was looking at, strategic review, wasn't actually about the fitness department. It was actually about people's jobs. It was actually about sacking people. So he was doing that strategic review a year ago. At what point did the light bulb ping in your head, Sir David, and go, we've just spent £300 million on Erik ten Hag. Here we are in late October sacking him at a cost of 10 million and replacing him at a cost of 10 million. Yet in 3 months, we're going to sack another 200 people at 8 million. You know, why did you do it? Why did you do that? Why did you make that £20 million decision when you know you're sacking people for less and you won't raise that money? At what point did your brain kick in and go, maybe we stick with Ten Hag till the end of the season and save ourselves some money and see what happens? And also from a footballing point of view, we should have kept Ten Hag till the end of the season. Because look at what's happened by bringing Amorim in November. He's got no pre-season, they're not his players. Why did we sack Erik ten Hag in November, knowing we were going to waste £20 million on that and then sack a load of people as well? It's just incredible how bad they are. There's another song, isn't there? You'll never sing that. I'm never singing that again. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. And that's my biggest fear now. Look, there's no part of me that in 5 years' time doesn't want to go, I got it wrong. But I can't be asked to take the risk. I don't think they know what they're doing. I think there's just so much evidence that they don't know what they're doing. I'm very disappointed in Omar Barada. I think he's just another Glazer puppet with that statement today. And I don't think they know what they're doing. I really don't. That 10 million we will lose with the deal with Adidas failing to qualify for the Champions League as its 10-year deal. What's your thoughts on this, Mark, says Chris? Absolutely convinced we're selling Garnacho in the summer, or Mainu. Absolutely convinced. If we are cutting back on the canteen and we are sacking 450 people, they ain't going to blink an eye at selling a young player, are they? They're just not. They're not going to not do that, are they? I'm absolutely convinced that's going to happen as well. David Harrington says, the BBC did an article today. INEOS said the first cuts would save 40 to 45 billion, so they'd be expecting similar again. Surely it can't be that much, says David. I mean, look, it's in the BBC, so it must be true. But I can't understand how you'd say. So we sacked 250 people, and we're going to save 40 to 45 million pounds. I mean, I'm getting the biggest smell of bullshit I've ever heard. I mean, I'm trying to do quick maths here, David, but yeah, you'd have to be on. I'm trying to think. 40 million. How much? What's 200 into 40 million? Because that's the wage a year. 40 million divided by 200. Yeah, so they're all on £210,000 a year. Fuck off. Yeah, absolute bollocks. So they're all on 20 grand a month. Fucking bullshit. Yeah, absolute fucking bullshit. And I tell you what, if they're all on 20 grand a month, they're all getting about 70 grand as a payoff on redundancy, because you don't get made redundant and don't get wages. So I've never heard such bollocks in all my life, David. Thanks for bringing it in. But this is what I mean. I would estimate that the average wage of people sacked is 40k a year. So I get it at about 8 million a year for 200 people. There will be some high wages in there, but I would imagine that, as I say, it's not rich people losing their job, is it? It's not Omar Barada losing his job. It's not Luke Shaw losing his job. It'll be old Kath and Dave, who've been there for 20 years and are on about 40 grand a year. Jason Hanna is a trolling prat, says Shahin. We should have our own Occupy Wall Street. Let's occupy Old Trafford, says Viling. Do you think the future relegation is possible, says Cameron? I think relegation for any club that's not from the Championship is now impossible. The gap is too big. Andy Jose says that Neville wouldn't even disagree with this. He made his whole academy staff at Stalford redundant during COVID instead of putting them on furlough. So what you're saying is he just sells himself as something he's not? I thought, no, honestly, I'm not taking the piss. I always thought Gary Neville was about working people and Labour and, you know, unions and all that sort of stuff. I'm trying to read the super chats, mate. I'm just working through them. Thank you, North Paul. Fans should storm the pitch mid-game, says Shahin. Gregory Burke says, our beloved club United are in major trouble. Is there a chance that Qatar might return to purchase the club? No, I don't think there is, Gregory. Laser says, you're right that we wouldn't let this happen at Liverpool. Hope Man United fans can get united and get those horrible owners out of your history-rich club. Respect and support. And I think somebody said, you know, about storming the pitch and that. I mean, obviously it's an illegal act. I don't think we even need to be doing illegal things. As somebody said last night, you'd only need 200 people to form a chain of peaceful protest around the front of the megastore and stop people going in. You know, there's peaceful things you can do potentially to even stop a game going ahead. So, I mean, I think the problem with the Liverpool game is that we got portrayed as hooligans and none of the groups liked that and it wasn't fair. Somebody said it a couple of weeks ago. I don't know how Liverpool run their football club and I don't know how they would make things like this not happen. Obviously abroad, it's very useful when you've got ultras because they are the people that basically run the grounds. You get it a lot in Turkey, a lot in Italy. I want to say Spain, but I don't know whether you do get it in Spain. But they're just basically like the figurehead of the fan base. And if they say, let's do something, everybody sort of follows with it. And suddenly you've got thousands of people doing it as well. I'm not saying we have, but aren't the Glazers responsible for hiring practices and they're to blame, rotten owners? Hey, Mrs. Stone, look, we're talking about INEOS here because it's all being done in their name. And they rescued the Glazers. But you make a great point yet again. Let's not forget, the Glazers must be rubbing their hands together. They'd have loved to do this over the last 5 years, but they wouldn't dare do it. They've now got somebody who will do it in their name. And I think that's the shocking thing about Sir Jim Radcliffe. He's happy to do all this stuff and destroy the thing. How about not taking dividends, says Technically Gifted. They're not taking dividends anyway at the moment. It was a United player and I knew the situation. I would without question take a pay cut to save any people from being sacked, says Christian. I wonder if any player will do that actually. Apparently Bruno did offer to pay for the Christmas party and INEOS said no because it'll embarrass them. Mark, why are you blaming INEOS? Oh, here we go. Jason, £50 super chat as well. Says, why are you blaming INEOS? This is all on the Glazers. INEOS are just trying to tidy up the Glazers' mess. And for people losing their jobs, who care? I'm sure they won't go homeless. And if it gets Manchester United back to the top, who cares? Jason, I'm just going to take a deep breath and leave that to the chat. Because I think you are a very, very big troll. Or you are just, you know, one of many people that exist in this world that actually probably do believe that sort of thing. You don't know these people who've lost their job. I don't know these people who've lost their job, but I know what it's like to lose your job. And I know the impact it has on people mentally to lose their job. I tell you what, statistically, I wouldn't like to be responsible for 450 people losing their job. Mental health, poverty, pressure, people going without, it's horrific. And look, maybe we'll be the only community that talks about stuff like that. But to Jason and anybody else that's rubbing their hands together about what's happening here in the hope that they're going to get Victor Osimhen or Gyökeres, trust me, you sack 400 people, percentages of those people are broken tonight. And it impacts the rest of their year. And for some of them, it impacts the rest of their lives. These are not just numbers. These are 450 people. 450 people. And that's why I said at the start, why are we accepting this? What has happened to this fan base that we've lost the fabric of what this football club is? This is a working class football club. That's its roots. It's a working game. Family, community. Manchester, historically, and even still, like Liverpool, like Birmingham, massive communities, diverse communities, working family communities. And Manchester United Football Club is now doing this. They will move us to the Etihad. Get your head around that, says John Donnelly. Taking the United out of Manchester, says Luke 82. 1 billion in debt. There's no identity of what United values are. Is there anything to look forward to on the positive side? I feel sorry for Amarim, says Ahmad Khan. We are the opposite of Liverpool right now. We are, you will walk alone, sacking everyone, says Vism. I mean, I think that's a great point as well. I mean, is it not symbolic? Is it not symbolic that in the year that Liverpool are going to level up with us with 20 titles, everything about that football club is better than us? We're not allowed to say that. We should never say that. Liverpool are our biggest rival and we should never, ever say they're better than us. But this is what has happened to our football club under the Glazers. Good people support Manchester United. Respectful people. It is not wrong to look at Liverpool and go, look at the way they're running their football club and look at the way our football club is being run. And they are better than us. They are better than us. And it's true. It's very, very sad, but it's very true. They're on a trajectory. They do somehow retain their core values and they have principles. And they have a club that they can be proud of. And they have a stadium that they can be proud of. And they have a team that they can be proud of. And we don't hit on any of those. We don't have a stadium for much longer. We don't have principles we can be proud of. And we don't have a team we can be proud of. We're failing on all levels. I don't think we're powerless to do something. I don't know whether there's an appetite to do something, because I think we can all sit here tonight and say it's never been this bad. That's not hyperbole. It's never been this bad. And yeah, I do look around the fan base and people are talking about Amarim's tactics tonight, or, let's start Obi Martin on Wednesday, or, let's hope we can do... And I'm like, look, I'm all for different opinions, but fucking hell, like, do you not get where we are? And if you're a Man United fan, this is not conflict. Just put your hand up and say, I've been deceived. I got it wrong. Because there are people out there that have been vocally very, very, very supportive of this INEOS Glazer partnership. And let me give you a hypothetical. There might be some account out there, there might be some United fan out there going, this is what we've got to do to get back on top. Wind your neck in and listen to this. We need to sack 450 people to get back on top. Listen to yourself. Is there an alternative? You know there's an alternative. You know there's an alternative, and it begins with D and it ends with T and it's got 4 letters. Do not sit there justifying sacking 450 people, because I would say, imagine the shoe was on the other foot. Imagine you'd just been made redundant and you don't know what you're doing. You don't know where you're going. You don't know how you're going to earn an income. And imagine that when you sit there justifying this because you want to be proved right. Mark, let me give you a different take. These rats are changing the demographic of Manchester area to earn millions. Who do you think will be able to afford rent and high cost of living after regeneration projects, says Roosh. We're acting like a club in administration, says Ross McRae. Mark, if the Glazers are the culprits, then INEOS have provided them the tools worth 1.3 billion to continue. This is exactly the reason why we needed Qatar, says Srijit. And look, let's just mention the Glazers for a moment. There they are. I mean, look, it takes a certain type of people to be what they appear to be. You still own half of the club. You're still going to keep making money off the club. You take 1.3 billion. Nobody needs 1.3 billion. and on your watch and on your conscience, you're sacking 450 people. That's the life of a billionaire. Welcome to the world. It's not me. It's not most of you, I don't think. But let's not forget, they've just had £1.3 billion from Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I couldn't sleep at night. You could give me a pint of Horlicks, I wouldn't sleep. I wouldn't be able to sleep with that sort of guilt. And that says a lot about these people. Ruthless, money, mercenary, whatever. That is just ruthless. To know that you have made 1.3 billion and to know that you're sacking 450 people and it's all your fault. It's just greed on a different level, isn't it? But look, they're not the only people who do that. Loads of people do that. Paul's Gaming Live, welcome to Members Club. We are no longer Manchester United. But my problem is like Unapologetic says, I accept that there are ruthless, mercenary people out there that don't care about other people as long as they've got a few 100 million in their bank. But they're doing it in the name of Manchester United, and that's where it becomes problematic. I couldn't give the toss if the Glazers are billionaires sacking people for their business. But this is Manchester United. They're doing it in the name of Manchester United. That's the problem. That's a lot of jobs. Would impact the whole city. Lovely city, says Umar. I work in finance. Research shows that cuts without short-term reinvestment of savings into core business activity doesn't work long-term, says Ardo. Thank you very much for that. I completely agree. I think I mentioned that a few minutes ago. Cuts don't actually necessarily work. Guess they're really gutting the club. Great way to improve morale, says Technically Gifted. We're definitely going to suffer because of this. We're definitely going to suffer because of this. You can't cut that many jobs and still be efficient. You can't. It just won't work. It's not going to work. There's no way we can cut 40% of our workforce and be absolutely fine. People are going to have to do more for less. And I mean, look, even on recruitment, we're cutting back as well. We want Glazers out, said we want Glazers out, says Jody. Absolute disgrace, says Andy Cheaton. I'm disgusted at the crap that comes out of our club. You're right, they're vulnerable. Now's the time to show them whose club it is, says Andy Cheatham. Spot on, valuable commercial partners, improve facilities for fans. They don't give a toss about the fans, only their pockets, says Ray. 450, look, they never shut up talking about commercial partners. They never shut up about it. We know who these commercial partners are. Again, this is not about doing anything illegal. We know who these commercial partners are. Do we need to buy their products? Do we need to, glaze them and glow them up? Or do we need to actually, say to them, you are part of the problem? You are funding these people, keeping them in power at Manchester United. There's a whole lot that could be done. It just needs to be coordinated properly, as many people have said before. Divs has gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much. Emily Derry says 450 regular jobs lost to prop up leechers who are already obscenely wealthy and just had a 1.6 billion payday. What heroes you are, INEOS. Emily, spot on again. I think Emily Derry should be the boss of all this. Again, absolutely fantastic. Selling players just to pay the sacking of Ten Hag, says John. Are players to blame as well? If we finished higher, we would have more working budget for our club, says DV. You can't blame players for people getting the sack. This is on the Glazers, mate, and those who fund them. The only way to save Manchester United is to get in games abandoned. The question is whether enough fans have the guts and care enough to do it, says PSH. I don't know, mate. I don't know. I think when you look at Manchester United now, I feel it. I'm sure you feel it as well. When you think about the Super League, there was genuine anger and there was a genuine desire for change. Do you sense that in the fan base now? Do you think we've actually just been pounded down so many times? Look, things have never been this bad, and yet there's nowhere near the fire of the Super League. It's a great observation. We may have already lost. We may already be defeated, because I don't sense anywhere near the anger and frustration and movement that we had around the Super League, and yet the Super League was a general thing. This is personal to our football club. This is the reputation of our football club, and it's just not there. I just can't. I don't sense it. I don't sense it at all. It just doesn't feel like the fan base is going to do anything, does it? And Why is that? I don't know. Maybe people have just been pounded down. Maybe the Glazers have just won. They've defeated us. Because what is happening on a daily basis? You're almost going, I can't believe it. But then nothing changes. Mark, if you have time when you play FIFA career mode, the slowest player is Tilseman, pace of 26, says Romana. With United on the stock market, a priority will be the shareholders and not the fans, says Kevin. Why is it working class people suffering, says Daniel? Because it's working people being sacked. I guess the £1 billion debt is hitting home, says Technically Gifted. Mark, Neville just listens to his paymasters in Davos, says Chops. £36 million paid for debt interest, was it, Mark? The club is disgusting, says Mozzo. Don't you find it strange that they only speak to fans when they want to cut jobs or make financial decisions? All this future plan is bollocks, says Weekend Getaway. I mean, look, hopefully it won't happen, but surely we might get season ticket rises as well. When we think it's rock bottom, they get a new banger, says Rack. So we're sacking 450 regular people to sign a striker in the summer. What madness are we going to do to raise the funds for next summer, says Emily Durry. And if this was Mike Ashley, we've done that one from MT90. If we don't get these guys out, it's truly the end. Lost all identity. Worst moment the club has ever been in, says AMG. And when Barca were broke, they were made fun of relentlessly, but not one person lost their job apart from coaches and players. Why can't INEOS do the same, says Dante. You know what? You know what's really telling as well is that we and others sit here for an hour tearing apart what they're doing, you know, calling them out for what they're doing. And it's really telling that in no way, shape or form do you ever get an email, a message or anything to say it's unfair what you said there. Did James Ducker get anything last week when he did his article? No. They don't even deny it. They don't even care. They don't even deny it. Like they don't care. Surely the Premier League could get involved. Care and sustainability rule or bullshit now. The Premier League is shit scared of United, Ray. Come on. Are the owners and Barella, etc. taking a pay cut? Absolutely not, Tom. I completely agree with you. It's disgraceful of us by these people. They are pillars of our team. They're important and they are seen, says MF. At this rate, there won't be anyone left to sack. They'll have to sack fans. I'm starting to think it's becoming an addiction, says Cyber Spider. Steve says, I've been involved in many reductions in force over the years in many verticals. In every case, the leadership also took a pay cut and made that be known to be part of the path forward, says Steve. Maybe that will follow. I doubt it. Fans should come up with a club improvement plan and speak to private equity companies about buying shares. It will amplify the voice as well, says Ardo. And if the Glazers walked, the debt would stay. It's the club's debt, says Barry, which is disgusting. Divs gifted 5 memberships. INEOS are just the Glazers' mouthpiece. They are just business people looking to make a profit from the club. They are not interested in any sport, says Adrian C. And rags are rich as FC. Since Sir Alex Ferguson left, managers have been criticised for not having a style of play. Amri has a style of play, and if we back him and let him play how he wants, I think he can save us, but he needs his players. And Thomas says, I can't believe anyone is defending INEOS for doing this to working people. It's disgusting. I don't recognise the club anymore. There will be people who are defending it. But if you're defending it, I presume you're a multi-billionaire yourself, because it takes a certain type of person and a certain type of ruthlessness to understand this and be okay with it. And it's certainly not me. And I certainly don't think it's the majority of the fan base. I'm not on board with sacking that many people. I'm just not. I know the impact it has on them. And I know what Manchester United is to me. And I'm just 100% against it. If it was the only option, it would be hard. And you'd have to find a way of not doing it still. But it's not even the only option. There's so many other ways that they could have raised money. There's so many ways the ways they could have stopped this. And actually they've just come in and wanted to do it. They've had a desire to do this. And that makes it even worse. Fully support you speaking out against this, says Sully. These cowards need to go and I hope you're able to do it soon. Stay strong. Thank you, Sully. Imagine telling your child no holiday this year, says Garfield. It was a matter of time. These cuts came down along with the Glazers. Let's not forget Woodward's actions over 10 years are coming to bite us now, says Red Devil. What comes first? Win the Premier League, relegated, or Glazers out? We're never going to get relegated, are we? Look, I'm exhausted by that. Thank you everybody who's tuned in. Massive numbers on something that's not actually to do with players or style or transfers, which just shows the power of this community and the care you have for this community and this football club. That reminds me, actually, it's in the live chat and it's in the video description. Our United Stand fan survey is going to go out this week, and it's going to cover a lot of this sort of stuff as well. So if that's important to you, then make sure you click the link in the description or in the live chat and just get yourself registered. It's done under the player ratings thing, but it just basically gets you signed up for our newsletter as well. You go on the mailing list and then we can mail out the fan survey this week as well. It's going to be all sorts of things. It'll be like, do you want Old Trafford to be knocked down or renovated? It will be, do you agree with getting games cancelled and getting points deductions from the Premier League to, get INEOS out? Would you be on board with not buying merchandise? Do you think emptying the stadium? It's all lots and lots of questions, and some of them you'll probably go, I'm definitely, but some of them will make you think as well. And we want to then have as many people answering this survey as possible, because it will be transparent, and then we can share all the stuff, and I think it'll be really good. We'll be sending it to Manchester United Football Club as well. They'll probably just put it in their spam, but I think we need to do as much as we can in a legal and positive way, because I think some of the stuff that this football club is doing is disgusting, vile. We as fans don't need to fight fire with fire. There's more than enough ways of doing things, and I hope people do start doing things, but I don't know. It feels like the fire's gone out. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong on that. Jay says, if Neville was such a great guy, why doesn't he start offering jobs to these people who've lost their jobs? And Technically Gifted says, I blame the fans. 100% stand up for your club. Well, that's like saying you blame me. And that's like me saying I blame you. And honestly, I think you're probably right. I think we could and should have come together and done something in the way that maybe a Liverpool would or another club would. And I'll never understand why we've not been able to do it. But it might be too late now. I don't know that the fire's there to do it. But we all have to look in the mirror for that. It's a bit like saying to Bruno Fernandes when he has a bad game, stop blaming everybody else and look in the mirror. And as a fan base, yeah, maybe we just stop looking at everyone else and look in the mirror and go, what can we do? But I don't know. I really don't. I'd love something to happen, but I just don't know. Take care, everyone. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We're back in the morning at 10 o'clock, and there is a game coming up, isn't there, in a couple of days? Some big games coming up over the next week and a half, actually. But yeah, I think beyond football, I'm just really taken aback by what's happened today, and really not happy with it. And obviously thoughts go out to all those people who are probably Man United fans, let's be honest, who've been told they've lost their job today. Apparently, there was no right to respond as well. It was a staff briefing and people were told they were losing their jobs, and there was no opportunity to say anything. Yeah. Take care, everyone. Speak to you later.